Hi, I'm Ben. Welcome to my book corner. Today we have another tag video. This is the Intimidating TBR Tag. I first saw this over on Book Chats with Pat's channel. I will link their video down below. Go check it out if you haven't already. Highly recommend her channel. Amazingly insightful videos and reviews. Really well worth a watch. So this is a series of 9 prompts plus a tag prompt at the end to do with books that you've either not finished or haven't got to yet and the reasons why. So the first on that list is, what book have you been unable to finish? I don't easily put books back down. I don't DNF books very often. There's one that's a kind of monkey on my back, and that's Hangs a Man by Shirley Jackson. I just don't get it. This is classic literature released in 1951, was Jackson's second novel or novella. And my brain just doesn't compute it. Part of it is because it's classic literature. It was the first classic lit that I'd been near for many, many years. And I have said before on the channel since I tried to read it that I do have some issues with classic lit. And I think that is the biggest section of that. Also, it's more contemporary fiction. And the subject matter is kind of outside my normal wheelhouse. So, there we go. So the rest of these prompts come with a preface of what book have you yet to read because. So prompt number 2 is, you just haven't had the time. And I've pushed this back multiple times over the last few months because it hasn't ever quite fitted. I've never quite been able to squeeze it into any of my months. And I wouldn't mind, but this is a book that I've seen only good things about, and I'm actually really excited to read. It's just never quite fitted. Probably going to be a read for August, although it might squeeze into Pride Month. We'll see. And I first saw this recommended by Jilly Wonka. This is one of her favourite books. This is one that she says she rereads every year. And it's Love in the Big City by Sang-Young Park. And the blurb for this is, Love in the Big City is an energetic, joyful and moving novel that depicts both the glittering nighttime world of Seoul and the bleary-eyed morning after. Young is a cynical yet fun-loving Korean student who pinballs from home to class to beds of recent Tinder matches. He and Jae-hee, his female best friend and roommate, frequents nearby bars where they suppress their anxieties about their love lives, families and money with rounds of soju and freezer-chilled Marlboro Reds. I am curious how this compares to UK student culture, although I'm well past that at this point in my life. But I've seen enough. So, and I've also only read good things about it. I'd heard good things about it. So I'm very excited to eventually get to that one in the next few months. Prompt number 3 is, it's a sequel. Now, I am a massive fantasy reader, or historically have been anyway. But there's a massive fantasy author that I've barely read, and that's Brandon Sanderson. My first reading of Sanderson books was his finishing off of The Wheel of Time. I liked how he managed to finish it off, even though it wasn't quite perfect in terms of tone from the Robert Jordan books, but it was an amazingly good job in a very difficult situation. I then read Mistborn Book 1, and the magic system was truly fascinating to me. And then for some reason I bought Book 3 and not Book 2, because that's how we roll apparently. So it was a few years before I finally picked up The Well of Ascension, which is Book 2, and I've just never got around to reading it. And I think it's been that long now since I read Book 1 that I kind of probably need to read that or reread that, I should say. Sanderson's a bit of a weird one for me because he writes so many books and I've just read none of them. The only other Sanderson that I've touched is Elantris, which I have an audiobook, and I've never finished that simply on the fact that for some reason I was at a certain point in the story, then Audible deleted my progress, and I've no idea where I was up to, and that is a long-ass book. It's about 40 hours of listening time. I will again get back to that. The other thing as well is there's so many Sanderson books that it's where to kind of start, which kind of puts me off. That being said, he has released a recommended reading order quite recently. He's done a video on it, and I'm pretty sure he suggests the original Mistborn trilogy as a starting point anyway. So I will get to that at some point, but God only knows when. Prompt number 4 is, it's brand new. Now, this came out on April 7th. No, it didn't. May 7th. Let's get that right. Bit closer. So it's been out nearly a month at this point. but it's not on general release here in the UK, so it's taken a little bit of time for me to get hold of this. It's only arrived a couple of days ago as of time of recording. It's Sunday now, so I only received this on Friday. It took a bit of time to get over here from America, this one. And it is Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. So this is a debut fantasy novel. This is a library binding as well, which I've not had. I didn't actually know what library binding meant. And I have to say, I have got more library binding books. I just never realised what it actually was. Some nice little art inside as well. So I'm gonna read the blurb for this one as well, because this is a recent release that a lot of people may not know about. 10 years ago, Malik's life changed forever. The night his mother mysteriously vanished, and he discovered he had uncontrollable powers. Since then, he has kept his abilities hidden, looking out for himself and his younger foster brother Ty. Now, at 17, Malik is finally ready to start a new life for both of them, far from the trauma of his past. However, a daring act to rescue Ty reveals an unexpected connection with his long-lost, a legendary conjurer with ties to a hidden magical university that Malik's mother attended. That feels like a typo on Goodreads, that one. At Cayman University, Malik's eyes are open to a future he never could have envisioned for himself, one that includes the reappearance of his first love, Alexis, his search for answers about his heritage, his powers, and what really happened to his mother, exposes the cracks in their magical community as it faces a reawakening evil dating back to the Haitian Revolution. Together with Alexis, Malik discovers a lot beneath the surface at feuding covens and magical politics, forbidden knowledge, and buried mysteries. This makes me think of a little bit of Legendborn mixed with Harry Potter, but for a slightly older audience. And I'm here for that. I liked Legendborn well enough, although there was a few things that I found quite jarring. Part of that is due to cultural differences from the UK and America. And Harry Potter, I appreciate what it did for the genre. I'm not as massive a Potterhead as a lot of other people are. But this looks like it's really, really interesting, and I can't wait to get to that. Again, because of what I'm reading the next couple of months, this is probably going to be an August read. So August is looking quite fantasy heavy, actually, because of some new releases I've got coming then as well. Prompt number 5 is you read a book by the same author and didn't enjoy it. And so the next one, I've read a number of books by the author, and 2 of the 3 I've read I really, really liked, and the author is John Scalzi. I loved Old Man's War Book 1, I liked Book 2 quite a bit, and then I read one of his standalones, which was Red Shirts, and I did not care for that at all. It felt a bit pretentious, and it felt a little bit not as smart as it thought it was. And then a friend of mine, Noah, read the Kaiju Preservation Society and was not blown away. So it's kind of pushed this one down my list, largely because it is another standalone, and that's Starter Villain. I've heard good things about it. Red Shirts has really put me off. I'm hoping this kind of grabs the mojo back. I might actually try to hit Old Man's War Book 3 before this, actually try to get me back in the mood, and a bit of redemption there, but this will be a shorter read realistically. Prompt 6 is you're not in the mood for it. So, last year I read a debut author who put my heart through the ringer, made me feel really protective of a main character in a way that I haven't felt in a long time reading a book. That author was Andrew Joseph White, and he had another book that's come out that is a gothic horror, and because of how much emotional trauma he put Benji through in Hell Followed With Us, which was one of my favourite books of the year, this is one that keeps getting pushed back. Now, I will be reading it either in June or July, depending on where it falls, because it could fall into either month. And that is The Spirit Bears Its Teeth. So this is a gothic horror with a trans autistic main character once again. And I'm almost afraid to read this because of how traumatic Hell Followed With Us was. The blurb for this one: London, 1883. The veil between the living and the dead has thinned. Violet-eyed mediums commune with spirits under the watchful eye of the Royal Speaker Society. And 16-year-old Silas Bell, Silas is a great name by the way, would rather rip out his violet eyes than become an obedient speaker wife. According to Mother, he'll be married by the end of the year. It doesn't matter that he's needed a decade of tutors to hide his autism, that he practices surgery on slaughtered pigs, that he is a boy, not the girl the world insists on seeing. After a failed attempt to escape an arranged marriage, Silas is diagnosed with veil sickness, a mysterious disease sending violet-eyed women into madness, and shipped away to Braxton's finishing school and sanitarium. The facility is cold, the instructors merciless, and the students either bloom into eligible wives or disappear. When the ghost of missing students begin begging Silas for help, he decides to reach into Braxton's innards and expose its guts to the world. If the school doesn't break him first. Excited to read it, equally terrified to read it. I already have Andrew Joseph White's next book on pre-order, which is called Compound Fracture, which I'm excited about as well, which is also going to put me through the ringer, I suspect. I just need to tear the sticking plaster off on this one, because I have a feeling this will be the first gothic horror that I will truly, truly love, I suspect. Next one is It's Humongous. I have a couple of options for this one. I've gone for one that would actually have covered multiple of the prompts, because this is also one I've never really been in the mood for, and it's a sequel, and it is by Ian Irving, and it's Tetrarch. So this is volume 2 of The Well of Echoes. I read book 1 20 years ago at this point. I bought this not long afterwards. Now, I remember struggling a little bit with book 1, but liking it enough to still pick this beast of a book up. This, oh god, it's very dusty. But this is a monster. It comes in at 682 pages long. It's possibly the second biggest book on my TBR list in general. And part of the reason, other than its sheer girth, that I've not picked this one up is that it's been so long since I read Geomancer, which is book 1. It also links to another series as well, which I haven't read, which I think is set before this, but there's an alternate universe thing going on from what I remember. But yeah, this is just, I mean, it's, look at that. It's a beast, an absolute beast. It's one that I might never read, if I'm completely honest. We'll see. I keep coming up and thinking I'm going to read it this month. Then I look at it and go, nah. Number A is because it was a cover buy that turned out to have poor reviews. Now, I do cover buy quite a lot. And bizarrely, that's never really led me too far wrong. The exception, kind of, was Chrysalis and Chrysanthemums, which I reviewed back in February or March. Can't remember which. I think it was March. Which has not got great reviews at the moment on Goodreads, tracking under 3 out of 5 at the moment. I can understand why. It's definitely not a book for everyone, and it took a little bit of stubbornness to power through that, even though I kind of liked it well enough. But there was a new release this year, which I saw during the rounds. I absolutely loved the cover and was toying with the idea of picking it up. And then I saw a review by Traben Tomes. Now, to be clear, Traben actually quite liked this book. But the reviews on Goodreads currently have this set at about 3.35 stars out of 5. So not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. But this is probably the lowest on my TBR read in terms of books that I currently have and their star rating. And that is To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. And I'm talking about the cover, but also the thing that really sold me was the internal artwork, or the inside cover, that really made me pick this one up. And I'm curious to see why the reviews are so mixed with this. I think Traben's touched on it in his review, which I will link down below, where he mentioned that the romance here is not a typical fantasy romance, and it's quite problematic in many regards, and it doesn't have sort of the clean redemption arc that you often get for shitty people in romance stories. The other thing as well is that the author and the publisher have specifically come out and said that this is adult fiction, not YA fiction, and yet this often gets classified as young adult. Now, obviously, young adult is not a genre, but it is more of a marketing targeting idea. But this, on Goodreads, is classed as YA. And here in the UK, in Waterstones, our biggest bookseller, it is also classed as young adult. And I find it curious if part of the mixed reception is because of some of the themes and the nature that is not what you typically find in YA books. Again, don't know when I'm going to squeeze this one in. Probably going to be August as well. But check out Trabin's review. He did a good job breaking this one down if you're interested to know more. So the very last tag prompt, I should say, or prompt proper. What is the most intimidating book in your TBR pile? This is incredibly simple. It's the Dune trilogy. Now, I bought the trilogy as a Kindle book over Christmas because it was 99p. I couldn't not buy it for that. The thing is, it's 1,500 pages. Now, obviously, that is technically 3 books in one. But for the purposes of this video, I'm classing it as one big volume. And the thing is, Dune is such a seminal work, and there's so much of it, and it's so dense, and I've seen a lot of discourse online about the book itself, or about the author, and about the themes, and obviously it's entered pop culture, or re-entered pop culture, I could say in many regards, because of the recent films as well, which have been very, very popular. Not seen them yet either. That I keep looking at it going, I'm almost afraid to read this, because much like when I read Neuromancer, it's very much like the granddaddy of a genre in many, many regards with some of its theming. And it makes me nervous to read it and talk about it a little bit. The other thing is the sheer scale of the thing. You know, sometimes size does matter. And in this case, I find it a little bit intimidating, realistically, just because of how much there is. I will read it one day. Don't know when that day is going to be, though. That just leaves number 10, tag some other people. Now, I'm not going to tag anyone specific. If you have not done this tag, you're watching this video and you fancy doing it, consider yourself tagged. I would ask if you would tag me in the description of your video so I can check it out and see what you are finding as your most intimidating books on your TBR. But that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. It helps feed the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you're not already, please consider subscribing. I'm on a journey to try and get to 200 subscribers by November, which is the channel's 2nd birthday. Finally, if you've read any of the books on this list or any of these are on your TBR, let me know in the comments below and let's start a conversation. But with all that said, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.